Hello.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining. I am yours truly, Elianah, and this is my baby daddy, Emmanuel, and we are so excited that you decided to join us and have the conversation tonight. Oh my goodness, it has been a week, but I'm excited to be here. I want to say thank you to those of you who continue to check in with us and who join the conversation, who watch us on live, who continue to encourage us and send us kind words. We want you to know that we so appreciate it. To our YouTube viewers, we want to say thank you for keeping our YouTube alive. We get over 1,000 views on each show that we've been doing so far. So we want to say thank you very much. We totally appreciate it. We would like for you to go.
Family too.
We would like for you to go and subscribe, though. When you go to our YouTube page, please take a minute and just hit the subscribe button. We need you to subscribe. So if you could possibly do that for us, we would greatly appreciate it. And yes, we appreciate our Instagram followers, our Facebook family who's here with us every week. Some of you come every week faithfully, but to those of you who always go and check us out on the replay, we want you to know that we thank you so very much for always going back and checking us out on the replay and hitting us up on email and encouraging us and with your own personal text. I just want to say on behalf of us, the both of us, thank you so very, very much. I am just jumping in. I literally ran in the door, took a shower, got dressed, and had to come on this live because I had to take my fat self to the gym because I was away all last week.
Why you say that?
And I was away all last week. I ate like I was crazy. I was in New Orleans, y'all. Oh my goodness. No, and they have the best food, right? So I was just eating, and I had to go to the gym. So yes, I was caught off a little off guard because I was trying to post it to my page to let people know that we get ready to go live right now. So that's what I was doing. And what was you doing? The same thing.
Yes. Facebook done made some changes this week
my goodness.
on the pages, and it's just, also we want to let you know, anybody that's getting a message in your inbox from us that asks for you to for a code or asking for you to do send Cash App or whatever, that particular page has been hacked. That's right. They are scandalous out here. They are scandalous bandits. And I pray that Facebook security track them down. But please, it's been hacked. Do not accept any requests from them. If I'm going to ask you for some money, I'm going to call you directly and have you call me personally. I don't know how they doing this, but these bandits got to stop. But we're going to move on with this discussion today.
I'm sorry. Yes, so the discussion today came about. A lot of our discussions that we discuss is because we either get emails or messages or have a conversation with someone or through counseling. My husband and I do counseling. And so a lot of times, a lot of things come up even in those sessions. And we were having a conversation a few weeks ago, and we were talking with some friends of ours, and we were just talking about how raising our children in today's society has been a challenge. And what they were sharing with us was some of the challenges that they were experiencing even with their adult children. And we really had to let them know, like, you are not the only one. Like, you're not the only person experiencing this, going through this with your sons and your daughters. It's just what's going on in our society today. And we wanted to have the conversation with some of you. That's why I was trying to go ahead and plug you all in, because some of them, some people was like, bring me on. I want to say something on Facebook. But we don't have the ability to do that today, they said, because we really weren't prepared. But we will be doing that in the future. But however, if you would like to make a comment or ask a question, you can do that in the comment section, and I will be glancing up and down to see if someone has a question or a comment, and we will address it at that time. However, we wanted to jump right into the conversation. So my husband and I have 5 children. We have
8 children.
We have a total of 8 children that we raised. I birthed 3 of his sons. I had a son of my own. When I met my husband, he was 9, and he had a son who was 2, 8 going on 9. I met my husband.
7 going on 8.
Honey, no, we're not going to start
He was
I
7
can't.
going on 8.
He was 9.
I'm
Well,
more accurate
he
with
was
dates
9
and times and stuff, so I don't know what she
when my
talking
husband
about.
met me. When I met my husband in July. My son was turning 9 that September.
He was turning 8.
He was not turning 8, honey. We didn't know each other for a whole year. When we got married, he was already 9. Here we go. I mean, I can't calculate. I already know he was 8 going on 9. No, he wasn't. He was 9.
I married you the moment I met you.
We married me. He turned 9 that September. We got married in that January. But anyway, my son was 9. He had a son
at 8:35 p.m. in New Brunswick, New Jersey, in front of the Elks Club.
It wasn't no. That's when you met me, not when you married.
When I married you, the moment I met you.
Okay, whatever.
The moment I met you. I didn't play around. I married you the moment I met you.
All right, baby. Okay. And he had a son who was 2. So we were automatically an instant family. And then my husband, when I met my husband, I was good. I didn't want any more children, really. But of course, women, when you get married and a man, for the most part, if he's still live and vibrant, he wants to have more children. And so I had another child, and so we had our first child together. Immediately, I got pregnant like the next few days.
You think I was gonna hold out?
We had my son. My son.
You think I was gonna hold out? What you?
Elijah, our firstborn son, together, and then we had 2 additional children, Eleazar and Eliakim. So that was 3. So then we became a family of 5 in a matter of 5 years. Seemed like to me. It happened all so quick, 6 years, something like that. Okay, so we had those 5 children, and then y'all have to go back and watch another video to find out. But anyway, my husband had 3 additional children. So then we became like the Brady Bunch, right? Or whatever. What's the other big family that combined each other? The Partridge family.
Remember that when we came
yes, the Partridge family. And so we raised 8 children, and to God be the glory. They are all grown and all gone and all on their own. Well, they never gone.
I don't know where people get that from, but we're gonna have that conversation.
Right, they are never gone, but they are grown and on their own.
Anybody ask a question?
I don't know, honey. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but you can go ahead and interject while I check the phone. How about that? Okay.
Okay. Well, what's so very interesting about this conversation tonight, and a very serious note, because if there's a move in this world to remove what is biblically defined as a family, and it's also a very interesting move because the scriptures speak about the days that the sons will return unto the fathers and the fathers unto the sons. So we have seen in the channels of history among humanity where children have become rebellious against their parents. So what we're witnessing today is no difference, but there's a breakdown of, I think it's a part of a destructive plan to remove the value system that was created from the first marriage that took place among humanity, and that is with Adam, which is Adam and Eve, his second wife. But the point is that there's a move to dismantle the whole process of divine marriage, the whole process of family structure, especially between a man and a woman and their children. So, when the sacred writings speak about, train up a child in the way he or she shall go, and when they are of age, they will not depart of it, and to honor your mother and father from it. But I do keep my ebonics in this every now and then. But at any rate, but the point is that, and to train up, and that when they are old, they will not depart. Well, we need to, and to honor thy mother and father. That's why I left off, so that your days will be long. But I think people misunderstand what is said because of the misinformation that is being taught on this planet. But in the sacred writings, it's very clear that the way you honor your parents when they are old is how well you take care of them. The scripture, the writings speak that you must take care of them when they are old, not put them off in some some senior living facility, not put them off on someone else. No, they need to be a part of the family and cared for by the family. And because nobody is going to look after them as well as you have the capabilities of looking after them if you honestly care about them. So this notion that a child, for an example, when they get 18, they old, they grown to do. No, that's this world creation. That's this world. That ain't what's supposed to happen. You ain't supposed to go and live on the other side of the world when you are when you come of age, or when a man takes on his wife and raise a family. See, that's why it's very sacred that, that when you look at that African proverb, it takes an entire village to raise a child. See, we need to understand it. Those children need to be around their grandparents. Those children need to be around their uncles and aunties. They need that because a parent sometimes, like me and my sons at times, or me and my children at times, I may not be able to get across to them. But if there's another individual, or uncle or auntie or grandparent or grandfather or cousins around that are of that same good consciousness and seek good in their life, then they're going to deposit good into your children's life. So they're there to help counsel them and help direct them when they have certain challenges. And the sad thing is when you go to people who don't uphold the same value system that your family holds, and your children end up listening to some Johnny come lately individual, and then they impart in them what they lack in their understanding, and then therefore they start to say, I'm gonna think for myself, I'm gonna do my own thing. You're always trying to control me. You never support me. You never support me when you don't support whatever I want to do. Now, if what you want to do is idiotic and I still don't support you, now all of a sudden I don't support you. No. And so therefore then they rebel for whatever reason because of what they are being influenced by in this particular environment. So today we're seeing rebelliousness on a whole nother plane. Rebelliousness on a whole nother plane.
So something I wanted to say, honey, before we go into that, because you said something that's very important, is that when your parents get elderly, and if you are able to care for them inside of your home, we should do that. And it's interesting that you said that, because my girlfriend and I were having a conversation a couple of days ago, and she was saying how she only has one child, but she's saying how she has already put in place, and this is a lot of things that we don't do in our African American community, is put in place, how she has put in place how her son will be able to care for her from their home or wherever he lives or whatever happens, because she will make sure that he has the finances to be able to do so, because it's costly to be caring to take care of someone, even in your own home, your mother, your father, whatever. It costs. A lot of times it's the doctors, it's the in-home nurses that have to come in, it's the medical assistance that they need. It's a lot of different into. Let me finish, babe. A lot of different things that tie into going into caring for the elderly inside of your home, which she did. She actually cared for her own dad. And this is why she prepared for her son, because she realized that what it took. You have to get furniture change. You may have to get your bathroom remodeled. There's a lot of things that go into preparing to bring your parent or your elderly one or your ill child or whomever into your home. And so we in our communities have to begin to think about those things and put those things that are in place so that our children do not struggle when the time comes that they may need to bring us into their home. Now, prayerfully, our children, as they grow older and get older, they will be financially sound, and we will have insurance policies in place, which we do, for them to be able to bury us in the necessary way or take care of us in the necessary way. But for those, right, that's it, which we do. But there are families who don't visit that, don't have that conversation. And I think that in today's society, it is very important that we begin to have those hard conversations with our children. What happens if? Because we're not, a lot of parents are burying their own children, you know. And I've had the conversation with my sons. Okay, if something happens to you, what do I do? Who do I contact? Who is your person on your beneficiary package? You know, these are things that we need to know. And if we don't know them, then we are at a loss, because at the end of the day, if your child is not married or somebody else is not on their in their last will, or if they do not have it written, at the end of the day, it will fall on that parent or that family member to make sure that the necessary things are taking place to help that individual along the way. And so I just wanted to put that out there. While he has said that we make sure that we put in place the proper things that we need to make sure that our children, if necessary, will be able to provide for us when we get to that age. Because I know I told God I need to live at least till I'm 85.
85.
Yeah, I want to live at least.
I don't want to listen. I ain't trying to see no Viagra till I'm 90. So therefore, you know, I'm gonna be here for a minute, partner. And as good as you look, shoot, you're gonna be here
I'll
too.
Be good.
You understand? But the point is also that what we were able to do, for an example, I understand what my wife is saying, but my point is that when your parents, and I'm not talking about just when they elderly and ill. That's not what it's referencing also. It's something else is that when you see your parents, when you go off and you establish, you know, we say, well, I'm gonna go off and establish my life and establish this, that, and other. Well, yeah, you're supposed to do that too. But you're also supposed to take care of those who paved the way for you in regards to your parents. See, and when you start to take on that kind of thinking and consciousness, you know, then I mean, like, what else would you need for them? I mean, I'm not talking about when they get 90 or older, super, you know, at a certain point that they can't move around, they need a nurse and things in that nature. That comes, you got to adjust for that also. The fact is having these kind of discussions, but I'm talking about the legacy. I'm talking about parents right now who are struggling with their children. They love their children and they see them going astray. And sometimes a hard head, you know, gonna make a soft behind. And so therefore we have to and we see them. They, you know, the interesting thing is with a lot of these children today, I don't care if you're 18 or 50, you still gonna need the guidance from your parents. I don't care who you are. You can be 18 to 55. As long as you are a parent on this planet, and as long as you have a parent on this planet, you will need your parent before your parent needs you. And the one thing that you will never be able to outmaster them on, and that's life experiences and wisdom. So the point I'm making is that when your parents is only going to look after your best interest. They ain't going to never tell you nothing that ain't good for you. Parents is never going to tell you.
Well,
you might not want to hear.
We have some, honey. We have
I ain't
some
talking
parents,
about irresponsible.
I know. Okay, I mean, I ain't say that because we have some kids who have their grandmas or their aunties or their uncles raising them. So when we say parents,
I'm talking about
who's ever raising you, who's ever
that too.
Gearing you, who is a part of your village, because a lot of times, you know, children have their parents are deceased. You know, you have children who've been in the foster care system that are adults now or young adults and things of that nature.
You can add that in there.
So I just wanted to, you know, so whoever that person is, whoever that mentor is, that auntie, that village, whoever is a part of your village, those are the people he's talking or speaking to that you should do these things and acknowledge these things for. So I just wanted to put that out there to give clarity.
Good. Did we get any questions yet?
No questions so far.
Are we live?
We are live.
And nobody said anything?
I know. I don't know. Maybe they that's quite unusual, but it's all good. We'll continue to have the conversation and we will continue to talk about it. The things that we address. So here's something that I definitely wanted to bring up with reference to fathers and their sons, because the couple we were speaking to in particular has sons, right? And so the dad was saying that his son seemingly has to have this thing that he is entitled, right, to everything. Like it's almost like he don't have to work for anything. You know, he wants his parents to do everything for him. And then on top of that, when they don't do it, or if they give him a correction or say something to him, then he wants to be disrespectful. And I think that that is a problem even in two-parent. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be shouting. I think that that is even a problem in two-parent households. It doesn't even matter if it's a single mother or a single father raising children, or if it's daughters and mothers and daughters and mothers, or fathers and sons. I think that what has to happen is that we as a community need to understand that you are not alone. And that's what we were trying to tell him. We were trying to tell him, you're not the only dad who's experiencing this with his son, you know, because his son feel like, you know, well, I'm your only son, you know, I'm your heir. And so because I'm your heir, this is due me. You owe this to me. And, you know, just being rebellious and then talking back and then leaving the house and, you know, not wanting to do what you expect them to do or things in that nature. And I think that what we need to understand is that it's happening across the board. And I think that what my husband said is true, is that it's the society, it's the world that we are living in right now, where it appears to be that this generation of children happen to be very rebellious, and not just rebellious, but they have a sense of entitlement, like somebody owes them something, you know, like somebody was supposed to make sure that you know, they had this, that, and the other when they reached a certain age. And let me help us to understand something. In our communities, when we raise you to be upright young men and young women, and to go out into society and to provide and to look back on your community and bring back the good that you've done and that you've been taught, we've done our job. Like, we've done what we are supposed to do. So when you get to be 19, 20, 21, 23, 25, 28, you know what I mean? And you still feel like your parents owe you something. They don't owe you anything else other than what has been provided for. Of course,
food, shelter, and clothing.
Of course, we always, and even with my mom, I remember my mom always telling us she wanted us to do better, have better than she did. That is the desire, I believe, of most parents. They want their children to grow. They want them to be better. They want them to experience life. Like some of my girlfriends, we always talk about how my sons travel. Like, they travel when they feel like they want to travel. And when we were that age, when I was their age, I'm talking about from the age of 40 down to 26. When I was their age, we weren't able to travel. We didn't go to Florida. We didn't go to Spain. We didn't go to Vegas because we wanted to see a concert. And we didn't just be able to up and go travel to Israel like on our own. We weren't even thinking
we're responsible
about doing that.
We're responsible for that element in them.
Well, yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying, as growing up,
because they were world travelers as coming up as kids. So our children have traveled the world. So therefore, their focus is much.
Well, most of them, not all of them travel the world, but
for the most part. So therefore, we're responsible for that. But they still have this strange, I don't know where it come from. You know, like say, like when we were in, you know, because at one time, you know, we went through a struggle financially, and we took a serious hit financially, and it was a struggle on us. And so when that period came, you know, and we didn't have all of the, you know, like at the snap of the finger, you know, to drop whatever amount of money for whatever the need was or whatever the desire was, you know, it then became like, well, you didn't do for me. Well, couldn't do for you because I didn't have, but I never let you go to bed hungry at night. You know, I made sacrifices, or we made sacrifices so you got what you need to survive with. You was well kept, you had a roof over your head, you know, you wasn't put out into the streets and things in that nature. So they don't look at those sacrifices. They don't look at what was actually going on at that particular time. They had sometimes children create an entitlement that things are supposed to be the same all the time. It's not like that. When you take certain lumps in life and you have certain challenges in life, you know, you got to weather the storm. But the important thing, say for me and my wife, is that we weathered the storm, that no matter what, we made sure that our children had what they need to do what they needed to do. But sometimes what happens later on in life, you hit back with, they go over things in their life and they say, well, I didn't have this, I didn't have that, I didn't get this person got it, it wasn't there for me, this, that, another. I mean, that's that spirit of jealousy. I don't know. It's a spirit of division. It's a spirit that comes in to create havoc and create friction between parents. And then they think that you don't understand them. You know, they want to talk to you for hours as if you don't have a clue to what they're talking about. And it's brand new news. You've been there and done that. I raised you, so I know what has occurred. Now, how you take certain things, because for me, what's important as a man at my stage in my life is my legacy, is the name. There's nothing more valuable than a good name. A good name is worth more than silver and gold and can open up doors unbelievable. But if the children don't see the value in that, and they got this microwave thinking that they're supposed to be rich overnight, you're supposed to jump whenever they ask for something, and if you don't do it, then all of a sudden you against them. All of a sudden you don't understand them.
And
all
I
of
think
a sudden,
the other thing is
that crap is that. Listen, that
I think another thing that goes on, and it's across the board, is a lot of times as parents, our children think that we don't understand, or we don't, we living in the rock ages, and even the children that I mentor, a lot of young women that I talk to, who are having issues with their moms and things of that nature. And what I try to share with them is that as parents, we try to give our children the best possible part of us that we can possibly can. Yeah, you're going to see the good and the bad. And one thing that I've even tried to tell my own children and tried to instill in my sons is, look for the good. Look for the good in your mother. Look for the good in your father. And I tell them all the time, I said, Daddy always used to say that. And I used to be like, oh, really? Yeah, that's a good point. But when you begin to look for the good in an individual, look for the good in your granny, look for the good in your mom or your dad, look for the good in them. And then let's celebrate the good, because I say this all the time. People gonna always remember your bad. You're gonna always remember the bad things mommy did that you didn't like, that mommy did. Mommy did this and mommy did this. Well, you did this for that one. You did. You're gonna always remember the bad things that daddy did. But can you kind of dig through all of that and look for the good? What good did we provide for you? What good did we give you? And even raising my children, and that's all of the children that came through my home, I always tried to instill in them several things. One, to have a spiritual connection with the Father. No matter what you do, always stay connected spiritually, because that is going to be something that's going to carry you through those dark days and dark nights when there's nobody else there. You can always have a conversation, right, with your spiritual father and talk to him and tell him what's going on. That was one thing I always tried. Prayer is going to be very key in your life. The other thing that I tried to teach my children was to make sure that they knew how to cook, how to clean, and how to take care of a household, because I always wanted them to understand that when mommy leaves here, I want to leave knowing that I gave you all the possible good things that I could give you that came from me, that my mother taught me. Yeah, there are things that I did not get it right. And I tell them that I didn't get it right. I didn't get it right 100% of the time, but I worked hard to try to get it right. And then when I didn't get it right, I went back and tried to fix my mistakes, but none of us are perfect, right? And so even with growing up with my mom, I told my boys all the time, see, y'all know grandma, but you didn't know her as mommy. And so, yeah, there were things that my mom did that my sister and I felt like she could have did differently, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do that. But we looked at her good. We realized and we understood that she was a single mother raising 2 daughters, and she was giving us all the things that she possibly could as a single mother, right? And my mother made sure we had the finest of clothes. Like I said, we grew up in the projects, and we still thought we had the baddest apartment in the projects with the best furniture. Sister. We felt like we wore the nicest clothes. We felt like we had it because my mother made us. She made us feel like we were at the top of the line. We were at the head. We were never at the tail. We were never. And there were times when we had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we was eating Dinty Moore beef stew. You know what I mean? And my mother was working. Dinty Moore beef stew in the can. Did y'all ever have that?
No.
Oh my God, it was so nasty.
Oh, that's probably why I ain't never have it.
But we used to, but we had those times when we had to, make do with what we had, but we would miss our mother because my mother worked 2 jobs, but we realized as we got older why she was doing those things. And so, and me and my sister talk about how we never disrespect. We never thought of talking back to our mother.
And this cussing in front of your parents.
Oh my
You
goodness.
think you're 18, all of a sudden you can cuss at them, you can talk back. Man, let me tell you something. I don't care what my mama did. I ain't never talked back to her. Never. And I ain't never, because otherwise I'm going to find my teeth on the other side of the floor. You understand? Sister Cook says it's an entitlement that children think you owe them sometimes. That's why they respect what they have worked for, not what you just give them.
That's good.
And that's very good. There. But we as parents, we always, like my wife said, we always wanted to give our children what we didn't have. All of us got our stories. I got my stories. I got my pain. My wife has hers. You have yours. But we always wanted to give our children the best, especially those of us who were responsible parents. We always wanted, and whoever may raised you, like she said earlier, but we always wanted to give them the best of what we didn't have. And so, but if they don't really understand your story, as you continue to try to tell them, and that's why I said now I'm moved from I told one of my sons recently, see, son, you know me as daddy. Other men know me as a man. And as you getting older, our conversations are changing. So now you're learning some things about your daddy that you was unaware of because you took it for granted because it was daddy. Yeah. So then therefore you think you was comfortable enough that, and as a result of that, you missed a lot. So now now what's happening is being redeposited into you because you opening up your hearing and your eyes and you're listening. And that's the problem. When they stop listening and you want to think you grown, okay, I'm gonna still be sitting here, partner.
Well, I think that I say all this all the time. I never stopped listening to my mother. I never stopped calling my mother and asking her for advice. I never, even when my dad was alive, I would call my father, even though I wasn't raised in a home with my dad. The dynamics of our relationship changed as we got older, and I really became my daddy's girl. Like I could pick up the phone and call him for anything, and vice versa. He called me fussing about my siblings, and I'm sure he called my siblings fussing about me. You know what I mean? But the dynamics of the relationship changes as you get older. But what I wanted to say is that even in those times when we were trying to raise our children and trying to give them what they needed, it was important for them to understand the respect. And so, no, I've never had to have the children that I've birthed raised up against me at all, ever, for any reason. But that was because I raised them that way. I raised my children the way my mother raised me. And that was to be respectful and to have respect for adults. And even till this day, my oldest son is 40 years old, the most respectful child. All of my sons, I'm just respectful. Like, I don't know what they do outside of my presence, but I know when mommy come in the room, they understand mommy is mommy. And even when I walk in the room and it might be all of them laughing, talking, hanging around, the conversation going to change because, they cuss and laugh and cheat you. But when I walk in the room, that conversation has to change. And I think that goes to how we raise them and the training and gave them and the examples that we set in front of them so that they would know. And so now my hope is that with this new generation, this new, what did my girlfriend call them last night? These new wave parents, the children can say what they want and
wear what they want to wear.
They can do what they want and they tell you no and all that kind of stuff. And they hit you and as babies. No.
Understand that the reason why a lot of these children are so disrespectful and think they're so grown is because a lot of parents have basically, you don't share grown folk business with kids. You don't have grown folks business discussion around children. See, when I came up, I don't care. When grown folks was in a room talking, you go in the other room. I don't care if they come in there and take over the television and hold a conversation. You had to get your tail up, get your little behind up, and take it into another room. You don't have grown folks conversations. You don't have conversations with kids, and you should never try to attempt to be negative and speak negative about one of the other parents that you at odds with to your children. Because what's going to happen is those children are going to grow up. Not only are they going to dislike a parent because they getting misinformation, but then they're going to also think that they're grown enough at a certain point that they can have any conversation with you and talk back to you. And then when that happens, you don't like it. You don't like it then, but you like it, sister or brother, when you start bashing one of the other parents in front of the children. All of those elements contribute to what happens with these children when they become of certain age, of them being rebellious. I don't care if their rebelliousness is led from confusion. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful. And so that is something that has to be corrected. But the other thing is this: these kids today, I mean, she work in the school system. These kids today, and then they so disrespectful, and the parents know their child is a brat. You know that child is a brat. And then you're going to come to the school and you're going to cuss everybody else out and defend that brat that you know is a brat that's been acting like a brat.
Now who yelling?
Me, because I get pissed off about this. Because I witnessed a parent coming to the school in front of my wife, and I just happened to be there. And that parent was sounding off, talking about what she was going to do to the person who was talking to her on the phone. And letting my wife there to her, I was that parent, I was that teacher, I was that person you was talking to. Oh, really? Yeah. And so she talking about what she gonna do. I had my bag on, steps. I turned my bag around here because she ain't gonna do nothing to mine up in here, partner. I don't work for the school district. I slay you behind you, put a hand on her now.
All right, big back.
You understand what I'm saying? Okay, I'm just saying that disrespect. Anyway, but when parents are performing in front of their children, disrespectful to other adults, then those parents, those kids, even if it's coming through learned behavior, is going to adopt that behavior and conduct.
And to add to that, honey, even in our own household, I mean, we had to deal with that even here with your younger children, like the disrespect. And that's what would make me so angry sometimes, because I knew that my husband, I knew that like his back was up against the wall, but I wanted him to discipline them. What I might like put them in line, like straighten them out. But because hands were tied from their mother, then it was only certain things that he could do. And when we would talk about it, he was like, the difference is because you're going to support me. You know what I mean? You're going to, if I discipline our children, because our children got disciplined, and and I just felt like, but I think that it helped them because they're great individuals. They are great young men today. And so because they had that strong hand. What?
You said a great young men.
I was talking about my sons that I birthed. Well, I don't know. Your young lady, I could be her right now. So that's another discussion.
I mean, like, I ain't lying. I mean, you think you're grown when you think you're grown when you think you're grown.
Why is my dress okay? Because I say all the time, if I had a daughter, my husband and I would be divorced because of that daughter. It's no question in my mind that I would have left him. If it's 5 girls and not 5 boys, I would have left him.
Daddy's babies. That's all.
They would have done no wrong, and it just would not work.
No wrong in my eyes.
So God does all things well.
Listen.
God does all things well, because
you right about that.
It probably wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
So, but what I was saying was that because he was that strong arm, he was the disciplinarian. I mean, I disciplined too. I was never the parent that said, you going when you wait till your father get home, I'm gonna deal with you right now before he even get here. He won't even know that we had this situation because I'm gonna handle it. But he was very much the disciplinarian, and my boys, my sons. Those older sons, they were scared to breathe around my husband. Like they didn't say nothing, It was what daddy say went, period. It was no discussion. So whereas the younger children, but when when the younger children came along, but let me finish, babe. When the younger children came along, it was a totally different dynamic because there was another outside party. That's why I said when between me and my husband and I, it was a different household. But when the other children came along, then it was different because there were times when I wanted him to like, did you just let them say that? Did you just let her get away with that? Did you just let him get away with that? Like, you know, now I'm vexed in my spirit because first of all, you respect the king of my house. That's my husband. You're going to respect him regardless. I don't care what's going on elsewhere. When you come here, it's called respect. And so there was a lot of tug of war going on in that area because I knew that my husband deserved the honor and the respect that he was due him. However, he was not getting it because of the outside forces that were influencing, like he said, the thoughts and the processes and the attitudes and the behaviors of his children. And so when you have a household that becomes blended, it does become difficult to kind of try to raise a family to your beliefs, to your goals, to your desires for those children when you have outside influences. But I want to encourage those of you who do have those blended families, who are experiencing these kind of things. You have to have the conversations amongst one another, husband and wife, and talk about how can we best rectify the situation. Because at the end of the day, love conquers all, right? And we have to be able to love our children even when they're disrespectful, even when they say things, even when their actions say something totally different. It takes and we always say parenting is not for cowards. It takes a very strong parent to be able to move past the pain, the hurt of words and things of that nature that come to them from their children, because we know that in that moment, we put things out into the atmosphere that we really don't want to say, but we say them in our anger and our hurt and in our pain. Our children do it, you know what I mean? And the parent does it as well, but we have to turn around and learn how to love and to forgive. And I'm still in the process of learning how to do that because it's some stuff that I just feel like ain't forgivable.
Well,
pray for me.
Pray for her. Pray for her in that regards. But the point that I'm going to make on this too is that's why I always say this to my wife, Maisha, is that there's no greater power than the womb of a woman. And that's why women know that. I don't care if you could be a good person, a bad person, you know the power. When that child disrespects you, one of the main things that women would say to him, I birth you and I'll take you out. I carried your behind for 9 months. See, that is a reality because that womb can create a world of happiness for that child, and it can create a world of confusion and sadness. So the other point is this. Me and my wife knew what needed to happen. And so that's why I took the actions also to say, okay, this thing over here ain't working properly. I need my children in my home, under my roof, 24/7, so that I can provide the proper development that they need to curtail some of this stuff. And I went to war against it because I knew that regardless to the drama of this, that, and other, when it came to any of my babies, there's a problem for me if you doing something that's not right inadvertently or even trying to use them because you want to weaponize using children against one parent or another. So that is where, brothers, you got to stand on your deen in those situations and not allow your children to be sacrificed by your absence because you're in a situation with your child, and then your child later on in life is going to hate you for it, man, because you gave up on them. You didn't put in a fight for them. So that's the comeback later on in life, that they don't see any value in you. They feel you don't have a relationship for them. You didn't care for them when they was treated a certain way. You wasn't there. You didn't respond. And the worst thing is to have a child crying for one of their parents. It's impossible to be there for that child. And so I knew that for me, no matter what the cost was going to be, I'm going to fight each and every day to make certain that my children, all 8 of my babies, had what they need. And believe me, they had the best of everything. I mean, they outdid it. So, I mean, there's no question, even in our struggle, they outdid it, because that's the kind of parenting and guidance that we gave them. But then when you grow to a certain point and think that you arrived on your own, a lot of times, no, I went to college, I went to do this, I went to do this, you did? How did you get to do it? How did you get there? All of it starts from the nurturing, from the cradle to the grave. So you got to start at your foundation, because if we had not done what we did, you would not be who you are. Don't make no.
And I think that the parents, that's another thing that parents need to share with their children, because we do hear a lot about that. You know, even our own children say, "Well, I paid my way through college.
You did what?
Let me finish. But I paid my way. I saw Twitter. Yeah, you did. You did your thing. Yes, you did. You know what I mean? Yes, you came out of college and you searched out your career, and now you're excelling it. Or you didn't finish college. Your career searched you out, right? And now you're killing it. But what I want the parents to understand is that we celebrate you, and the children understand we celebrate that. But always remember that there was a foundation, baby.
Don't forget where you came from.
You had to be nurtured. You had to have somebody teaching you. You had to have somebody teaching you discipline, to sit down, come home from school, have your snacks, sit down, do your classwork. That is what carried you through to the next level of your higher education.
And you got to understand, especially for our children, they ain't never known us not to be moving and making things happen. They ain't never known us not to be busy. They ain't never seen us say, I ain't doing nothing no more. They ain't never seen that. They have always seen their father doing it. They have always seen
at one
mother.
Point they thought they didn't know what you was doing, because you was home all the time, and they was figuring, how did Daddy making this happen? So we
for myself.
we had our own business, and so even with that, we try to tell our children, no, Daddy wasn't sitting. You might have seen him sitting on the couch, but he was working. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't just sitting on the couch watching TV. He was making it happen. And so I'm grateful even today with today's society. You know, several of our children are making it happen from the couch, because COVID hit, and then everything became virtual and all of that kind of stuff.
Like, they were trying to figure out, like, Daddy, you gonna take me to school this morning in Bentley? Okay, what? We can take in a truck. No, Daddy, I want you to take me to school in Bentley. Okay, come on, I'll take you to school in Bentley. You gonna pick me up? Yeah, I'll pick you up. Like, then they asked, like, well, wait, why? How could Daddy take me? How Daddy get this Bentley? Because I was working. All legitimate now. Understand that? All legal and legitimate. Oh no, I don't mess with that other stuff. But all legitimate. But what the point is that they grow up sometimes, and it's a selfish spirit. Because we may need another discussion with some other parents on this, the continuation, because this is a conversation that we need to go in depth. But probably the next show, because we coming to an end now. I'm letting my wife have to find the words. But the point is that we have to, like, really take hold of this thing right now. Parents, we're going to have to go to war to save our grandchildren. We're going to have to go to war to save our children in this hour. We are at war. And so therefore, otherwise there won't be a legacy. Because what's existing today, it means that they ain't talking about carrying on a family name, carrying on a family legacy, but they want to idolize Gucci. They want to idolize Louis Vuitton. They want to idolize all of this stuff. What do you think these people are doing? Tesla, his father. You understand? The Rockefellers. You go on. They made a story about the Gucci family. Go and look. The Rothschilds. Look at them. Look who owns these major corporations or these major department stores and these major name brands that so many of our people are buying into. Those are family legacies, family wealth, inherit wealth that they continue to build. They didn't go to, these people didn't go to college to become, industries.
You naming all of the people of a lighter
Well, I'm talking
color,
about whoever
but
they are.
I'm just saying,
but our children people are buying into it.
But we do have African American families who look like us, who are even, you know, building legacy even now. A lot
but
of
for
them
the mass,
that are
I'm talking about on a massive level, there are more folks in our communities that look like us that do not have that kind of wealth. But they are idolizing these brands. That's what it is, brand. But you got to brand yourself today. You got to brand your family and build on that brand and continue to build on that brand. That's what you have to do.
And I think that
I tell my wife all the time, I'm not my children. Listen, I have family name. Me, I'm in on this. I told my children, I told my kids this. Listen, don't ask me what I'm leaving you when I leave here and you still functioning and I'm still functioning. We need to build something with me now so that you can carry it on. That way, if you build it with me now, you got a vested interest in it. You're not going to blow it, but you're not going to destroy it. What I'm looking to do is build something for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. Me and my wife, rest in place, we already paid for it. We paid for we own this, we got the certificate, we own our spot where we gonna lay, we got it all laid out. Ain't got to worry about nothing. Just wrap me up in a sheet, put my yarmulke on, and put me in the ground. That's all you got to do. The next day, 24 hours, period. Ain't no waiting for no 10 days. Ain't sitting in no refrigerator. Ain't doing none of that. But the point of the matter is, don't put no bomb and fluid in it. I ain't put no alcohol stuff in me now. You think I'm going to die and let you put some chemicals in me? But the point I'm making is this. So therefore, if you want to, the best thing to do now is brand yourself. Take that good name of your family and build upon that. Don't worry about these other folks because they're going to keep getting rich. They're going to give you a dime when you go see them. So you need to build something for you and your family and those within your reach and be a good example and help the poor and suffering and give to charity that's going to go directly to those that are in need.
And in closing, I want to say this because we started talking about our rebellious children. At the end of the day, parents,
you're just showing an example. We got just like anybody else.
As a community, the people who are viewing the conversations we've been having with people. We started this conversation talking about our rebellious children. And what I want to say to all of us parents who are out there with reference to our rebellious children, we have to, at the end of the day, love them, right? We're going to love them. We're going to encourage them. We're going to keep praying for them, keep trying to live the best example we can possibly live for them. And then I want to say this. The other thing is that we have to learn how to forgive. You know, we have to learn how to forgive our children. We have to learn how to forgive our parents. I read something one time on social media, and it said something to the effect, listen, children, forgive your parents. They like, and so have you. Like, nobody's perfect. We didn't get it right 100% of the time, but to carry hurt and frustration and pain and anger and let that continue on and on and on. So now you're walking around, you're depressed, you're mad at your parents, you want a relationship, but you don't want the relationship. Same thing with the parent. You want a relationship with your child, but you don't want the relationship. Listen, let's forgive. And let's all give each other a clean slate. And let's love. I'm preaching to myself right now. I'm talking to me, okay? And I'm hoping that it will encourage you, that we will learn how to love regardless. Like, we love like God loves us, right? In spite of who we are, in spite of what we've done, in spite of the mistakes that we've made, in spite of the things that we've said. Let's love one another. And children, learn how to be respectful. Stop cussing your parents out. Stop telling them off. We are not on your level. Now, this don't happen. Not in my house, but I'm just saying to my children, even some of my friends' children, you know, y'all learn how to talk to your parents. Be respectful. You can say what you want. You can relate to what you want and do it peacefully. And I say to the parents, learn how to respect your children. Listen to them, not just sit them in the room and make them hear you and hear you only, but let's have conversations with them, intelligent conversations, and hear their hearts and hear what they are saying. And then in turn, let us come to a common ground where we can move on and have great fellowship and great family. That's it. That's it. We love y'all. We thank you for joining us. We appreciate everything that y'all continue to do. Continue to love on us, and we're going to continue to love on you. Thank you so much. We will see you Next time, right here on Marriage Motivated Moments, Facebook Live, and our date is whatever the date is, the second.
August the 2nd.
August the 2nd. August the 2nd, we will be going live again. Thank you for spending this extra time with us. We know we went over, but we always think it's important sometimes to just go over. So we love y'all. Thank you. Have an excellent week. We'll see y'all on August the 2nd. Marriage Motivated Moments. Bye-bye.